Some people take pictures, they how to. Yeah. I don't think that's a good time.
Dachte, everybody hear me okay? Yes, okay. Dachte, zon, nahwahte, ramasi, Rosie Benning siye. Bonjour, merci d'être ici cet après-midi. Je suis Rosie Benning, directrice à l'enseignement au Collège nordique et je suis heureuse et honorée d'animer cette conférence de presse pour le Conseil canadien des ministres de l'Environnement cet après-midi. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. My name is Rosie Benning, Director of Academics at College Nordique, and I am pleased and honored to be moderating this press conference, this news conference for the Canadian Council of Ministers of the Environment. I would like to inform you that we are joined today by a number of journalists in the room and on a Zoom call. Je tiens à vous informer qu'il y a des journalistes dans la salle et certains participent également par Zoom. Jay McDonald, ministre de l'Environnement et du Changement climatique des Territoires du Nord-Ouest et le président du CCME, prononcera quelques mots. D'autres ministres auront aussi l'occasion de partager une déclaration incluant le ministre Delbruzin et le ministre Schultz. The host minister and current president of CCME, Jay McDonald, the Northwest Territories Minister of Environment and Climate Change, will open the news conference with a statement. Other ministers will also have a chance to make a statement, including Minister Delbruzin and Minister Schultz. We also have other ministers in the room today. Nous avons également dans la salle aujourd'hui les ministres suivants. Ministre Julie Delbruzin, Minister Rebecca Schultz, Minister David Jonassy, Ministre Gilles Arsenault, Minister Mike Moyes, sous-ministre adjoint Jean Bissonnette, Minister Tamara Davidson, Minister Timothy Hallman, Minister Travis Kiesig, Minister Clark, who is attending virtually on the screen, Ministre Gilles Lepage, Minister Todd McCarthy, and Minister Scott Reed. Pour ceux qui sont dans la salle, l'interprétation simultanée est disponible. Veuillez prendre un casque. For those of you in the room, simultaneous interpretation is available. Please pick up a headset. There will also be a question and answer period following the opening statements. Il y aura aussi une période de questions à la suite des déclarations des ministres. J'invite maintenant le ministre Jay McDonald pour l'allocation d'ouverture. I now invite Mr. McDonald to say his opening remarks.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land we are gathered on are treaty lands, the home of many Indigenous people, including the Yellowknives, Dene, Tlicho, and North Slave Métis. We are great ministers of environment meeting here in Yellowknife and to serve as president over the past years. Ministers from across the country gathered to discuss important environmental issues and endorse new national air quality standards to protect the health of Canadians and the environment. Over the past year, CCME advanced work on air quality, climate change adaptation, plastic waste reduction, and environmental monitoring. We've also worked to strengthen collaboration with Indigenous governments and Indigenous organizations across Canada. Ministers endorsed new air quality standards for fine particulate matter and leading environmental cause of premature death in Canada. These new standards will help all jurisdictions better protect communities from the growing health impacts of air quality in the Northwest Territories is generally very good. But climate change is increasing wildfire risk and affecting all regions. Strong science-based national standards help ensure we're prepared for these challenges and support long-term health and resilience. We had meaningful discussions with Indigenous governments and Indigenous organizations before the main meeting. Their leadership and experience are essential in managing contaminated sites and preparing for climate impacts, especially in remote and vulnerable areas. Ministers shared practical examples from across Canada about how communities are preparing for climate hazards like floods, wildfires, and extreme heat. We know adaptation is critical, and today's meeting reinforced our shared commitment to proactive community-based solutions. I'm proud of what we've accomplished here together this year, and I now pass the CCME presidency to Alberta, and I look forward to seeing this important work continue. Thank you, and I'll pass to Minister.
Good afternoon. And I really would like to begin by exceptional couple of days for all of us. And it's so important for us to have this opportunity where we get to see each other in person. Well, with Minister Clark online, but he's been present throughout as well. To have that chance to have conversations and get to know each other better and to talk about really important issues that are facing all of our communities. So a really big thank you for all of the work that your team has done to make this happen and to be a great success. As I mentioned a couple of times, this is my first trip to the Northwest Territories as Canada's Minister of Environment and Climate Change. I have been here before, and I look forward to being back. It's been such an amazing time and an honor to be able to spend time here in the North and to spend time hearing and learning from Indigenous leaders from across the Northwest Territories. It was really some important conversations that we had yesterday. The conversations that we've had over the past couple of days have been about reconciliation, climate change, and our shared responsibility to protect and defend the environment. And they've led to action. I am very pleased that we've been able to work together to approve stricter air quality standards for fine particulate matter. It's improving air quality across Canada through comprehensive collaborative actions that are going to provide significant health and environmental benefits to Canadians. Canadians want to be assured that they have clean air in their communities, and together as a group, we've been able to take action so that we can make sure that that happens. Overall, our discussions were thoughtful, they were frank, they were forward-looking, and I really want to recognize that importance of working with each other and with Indigenous leaders to protect the environment while strengthening Canada's economy in the face of an international uncertainty. I know that Canadians want to see their governments working together across all orders of government, and they want to see us working together with common purpose towards those common goals, because that's a way to best protect Canada and to build a strong economy and a strong low-carbon future is to make sure that we're working together. Je m'engage à poursuivre cette collaboration solide avec toutes les provinces et tous les territoires, à la fois en tant que groupe par l'entremise du CCME, mais aussi entre ces réunions de jour à jour ensemble. J'apporte également mon soutien à notre nouvelle présidente pour 2025 à 2026, la ministre Schultz d'Alberta, et je me réjouis de continuer avec notre important travail ensemble. Alors, merci à tout le monde. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to our continued work together.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. And first, I also want to start by thanking Minister MacDonald. Thank you for your hospitality. This was my first time visiting the Northwest Territories. It has been beautiful, and your hospitality has been appreciated by all of us here, I know. I am very much looking forward to hosting the CCME in Alberta in 2026. Our key priorities, of course, will include, as the minister said, economic growth and jobs, streamlining environmental approvals while upholding strong environmental standards and making sure that Canada is an energy and economic powerhouse. Ministers agreed that we need to do things differently, and that will be my focus in 2026. Thank you once again to all of my counterparts from across the country for the great discussions, for your passion and your service to your home provinces and territories, and to all Canadians. Thank you once again, Minister MacDonald. I look forward to seeing you all in Alberta, hopefully this time next year.
Merci, merci. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, Minister McDonald, Minister Desposins, and Minister Schultz. We will now begin the question and answer period. Nous allons maintenant commencer la partie questions et réponses. For reporters, raise your hand on Zoom questions. We will have a queue to keep track. Please identify yourself and media affiliation. Levez la main sur Zoom pour poser des questions. Nous aurons une file d'attente. Veuillez vous identifier et indiquer votre appartenance à médias. We'll start with the reporters on in person.
You hear me? My question's for Minister McDonald. Obviously, the GNWT is pushing a lot of what they would call nation building projects for the federal government. It could be the Mackenzie Valley Highway, the Slave Geological Province Corridor. In your opinion, which one of these projects would be most likely to get federal approval based on its impact on the environment?
Thank you very much for the question. So I think at this point in those conversations, we're still speaking with our partners from across the Northwest Territories, and certainly it's a big question as to which one sort of is the priority, but I think it's certainly one that requires some more conversation, and certainly with our partners of Canada as well in how we move this forward. So I don't think that we're quite at a stage yet where we would prioritize one over the other. I think certainly all three projects are critical to success in the north. Overall, I mean, the way they have potential to drive the economy, whether it's Tulsan's ability to provide power or the Slave Geological Province Road and that connection to the Arctic port. And certainly the Mackenzie Valley Highway has been top of mind over the last year and a half with the low water levels and, the challenges that a lot of the communities have faced up the valley. So I really appreciate the question, and I'm hoping we have some clear direction from our meetings with, like I said, all of our partners in the coming weeks and months, and we're optimistic that some good things are going to happen in the north. So thank you.
Thank you.
Another question for the outgoing chair, Mr. McDonald. Ollie Williams, Cabin Radio. We've just heard about new national air quality standards being endorsed by the ministers. It's one thing to have those air quality standards. It's a different thing faced with the fires that we're faced with up here every year to know exactly what that's going to do to make our air quality better in the face of some pretty insurmountable odds. What's actually going to happen? What will those standards lead to in terms of actual concrete actions to make our air better?
Well, I think really at the end of the day, Mother Nature is the one that really determines the amount of smoke that's in the air from the fires that we've experienced over the last number of years, and some of the challenges that we faced because of those fires, not only in the Northwest Territories, but I think that smoke has really affected all of Canada in many different ways, and in some of the communities where they didn't have threats of fire. Since 2023, we've taken and we've put a number of purple sensors across the NWT to help us to monitor that smoke. Several of the communities have created healthy airspace facilities to support, folks with that have medical conditions or elders or younger folks. So as we work toward looking at the implementation of those standards and how they can impact life in the NWT, I think we're certainly trying to be proactive, and a lot of the work that we've already started in light of the 2023 fires will continue, and this will be a tool that will support that work and allow us to continue to be proactive in that area.
And just a separate question for yourself and for the incoming president as well. In the past, the NWT and Alberta have had pretty differing perspectives on relationships around, for example, sharing information on water quality. That was something that came to a head with the Curl incident in northern Alberta a couple of years ago. How confident are you? How confident is the Alberta minister that the NWT and Alberta now have a rock solid shared understanding of what the relationship between those two governments needs to look like when we have similar issues in future?
Yeah, so really good question, and I mean, I think our relationship with Alberta is strong. We work collaboratively together. They're very good at sharing information. Like Minister Schultz said earlier today, the monitoring, water quality monitoring within Alberta is probably some of the most intense in all of Canada. And if you go back to the Curl situation and look at how we've moved forward from there, the information sharing from that point forward has been really good. We have our transboundary water agreements that are working quite well and allowing us to have that communication. And we don't necessarily agree on all points, but we're certainly having regular conversations and working together to find solutions that work for all of us.
Thank you. We'll
Thank
pass it to the reporters online. David, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to hear from the Alberta minister as well. That's okay.
My apologies.
That's a great question. We would say communications following what we saw at Curl was not acceptable, and our government's been very clear about that as well. We learned from that situation, both in terms of what the company is required to report both to government and to impacted communities, and how we communicate, of course, to other partners, including Northwest Territories. We know that water is one of our most precious and important resources. We know that there is a lot of eyes and a lot of focus on oil sands mine water specifically. It's something that our government has made a priority. And I've committed to Minister MacDonald that we would have an open line of communication about what we're doing there. We've recently just wrapped up a task force to look at what can be done to, I would say, speed up the treatment of oil sands mine water. And that's something, the relationship is something that we take very seriously. We don't take it for granted. And we know that open and constant communications is part of that.
Thank you.
Okay, David, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Of course, it's July 4th. Our relationship with the US is something that, at least as reporters, we've been covering a lot, especially today. And so I'm wondering if that was a topic of discussion at this meeting. And does that change, especially for the federal government, how it proceeds with its climate policy, given that we're seeing that the US is not moving as fast and in some cases backtracking?
Certainly. I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question.
Hi, can you hear me? Is that?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah, the first part of the question was just, it's July 4th. It's the US Independence Day. And the relationship between Canada and the US has been in the news for some time. And I'm just wondering if that relationship was a topic of discussion at this meeting, and if the US's backtracking on climate policy means anything for the federal government with how fast it moves.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I would say that certainly that I think the conversation around our relationship with the US and the impact of the changing policy is certainly part of every conversation. If not directly, then it's certainly an underlying and provides a tone to the context of the discussions that we're having. And, as the Minister of Environment for Northwest Territories, I certainly have concerns with some of the backtracking of the policy of the US, as you look at the National Arctic Refuge and potential impact on caribou and, the Arctic Ocean. And I think there's a number of areas that are certainly concerning from a territorial perspective. So I'll pass to Minister for the federal component.
Thank you for the question. And look, you're talking about July 4th, but we also just had July 1st, where we saw Canadians come out to celebrate our amazing country. And part of what people are celebrating, when I see it, when I hear from people, what they're celebrating about Canada is our beautiful natural spaces. It's the pride that we take in our country and all of the vastness of the different spaces that we have, the natural green spaces we have right across our country. And so I don't want to lose sight of that, because we just had that moment where we came together as a country to celebrate it. And absolutely, like, Canada remains committed to protecting those green spaces. When we talk about Canada being strong, part of Canada being strong is making sure that we continue to protect what we love about this country. So we remain absolutely committed to protecting the natural environment and also to fighting climate change, which, frankly, over the past couple of days, we've been hearing the stories about how it's impacting these communities right here in Northwest Territories in a very direct way. This isn't just a theoretical threat. This is something that's impacting communities today. And so, as a federal government, we're committed to continuing to protect our country from the threat of climate change. Thanks.
We'll finish with one more reporter. Ashley, go ahead.
Would it be possible to follow up really quickly? Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, just for the federal environment minister, Mr. Berzin, one thing that the US has backtracked on, of course, is how fast they're going to transition to electric vehicles. And we've had the US auto companies meeting with the prime minister this week, calling for a repeal of the federal government's EV mandate here in Canada. Yes or no? Is the government still committed to the Canadian federal EV mandate?
So let me begin, because we again have been talking about with our relationship with the United States, and I'm from the province of Ontario, so I can tell you that when we're talking about our automobile industry, the biggest threat that our automobile industry is facing right now is the unjustified tariffs that we're facing from the United States. And so I think that it's important to keep that in mind as the most important issue that the industry is facing in this moment. When it comes to zero emission vehicles, you're absolutely correct that the Prime Minister was able to meet with industry. I myself will be meeting with industry, but we know that transportation is one of the largest sources of emissions in our country. And so we're going to need to make sure that we continue to tackle that, exactly going to the point that I raised earlier about how climate change is here, and we need to continue to work as a country together to reduce those emissions. So we're having conversations, or important conversations, but the commitment to reducing emissions, it remains.
Thank you. Ashley?
I hope you can hear me okay. I'm sorry, we haven't seen the press release or the communique yet. I'm wondering if someone could tell me what these new air quality standards are that have been endorsed, and when they will take effect.
Yeah, thank you. So they're revamping of the numbers on the particulate limits, and I don't really have any technical supporting information with me right now. And they are not a regulation, but a revamping of the existing standard. Thank you.
Given how many wildfires everyone across the country is dealing with, how realistic are the standards that have been set, whatever they are? Again, we haven't seen them, but was the amount of wildfires Canada is dealing with a consideration in setting what these standards will now be?
Yeah, thank you again for the question. So I think the main focus here was the health and safety of our citizens, and ensuring that we're working from a perspective of doing the best for those folks. And, I think having the ability to control the amount of smoke that's in the atmosphere and the air from wildfire is beyond any of our control. So, I think we'll all do our part to, work toward adaptation and resilience and ensure that we're all striving to reduce the risk of wildfire within our country and to be as proactive and responsive to those activities as we can. And hopefully the revision of the standards will allow us to support air quality in other areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister McDonald. That brings us to the end of our press conference. Thank you very much for coming.
There's other local media in the room. Are we allowed to ask questions, please?
It is the end of the conference because we have half an hour. Let's see.
Great.
Oh, I'm told that you're good to go.
Thank you to whomever made that decision. My name's Lainey. I work for CBC North. I just wanted to clarify. So you've gathered us here, the media in this room, to tell us that you're endorsing new air quality standards, but you don't actually know what they are. Is it just that, like, is the revision in process and that's why we don't have a number yet? Or can somebody provide that number, like, after the fact? I'm not sure who to direct that to.
Sure. Yeah. So the number was in the documents. Apologize that I don't recall the number off the top of my head. But it certainly is in the communique and it will be relayed to the public.
So that'll be sent out to media shortly, I hope.
I think the communique is just in the final sign-off process, so it should come out fairly shortly.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mercy, that wraps it up. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you.
Yeah.